This trust is neither naive nor blind. It's based on a deep knowing that emerges from the subtlest layers of consciousness, where reside the memories of lives shared in love and loyalty. Imagine a man who, for the first time in his life, feels he can be completely vulnerable, that he can share his deepest fears, his existential doubts, his most secret dreams, without fearing rejection or judgment. This is the healing that true love provides. It mends ancestral wounds of the soul related to trust and the fear of abandonment, allowing the being to open completely to the experience of genuine union. And here, at this moment in our journey together through these revelations of the soul, I feel it's important to pause and reflect on how these truths resonate in your own heart. If you've felt that these words speak directly to your soul, if you've recognized in your own experience the sacred patterns of love we're exploring, I invite you to join our community of spiritual seekers. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because together we will continue to unravel the mysteries of the soul and discover how Edgar Cayce's teachings can illuminate our paths toward true love and spiritual fulfillment. Your presence here is no coincidence. It's part of a larger plan that the universe orchestrated so that these truths would reach you at the exact moment your soul was ready to receive them. The sixth phrase that springs from the passionate male heart is, "You complete me." Although this expression has been romanticized by popular culture, it carries a deep spiritual truth that Edgar Cayce elucidated in his teachings on twin flames. According to the visionary, certain souls were created as a unit and then separated to experience individuality and growth through apparent separation. When these souls reunite, there's an immediate recognition that they found their cosmic other half. This feeling of completeness doesn't indicate emotional dependence or lack, but rather the recognition of a spiritual synergy where each soul possesses qualities that perfectly complement those of the other. It's as if they were two pieces of a cosmic puzzle that, when joined, reveal a more complete and harmonious image of the divinity they both carry within. Think of the man who discovers that his weaknesses are naturally balanced by the strengths of his beloved, and vice versa. Where he is impetuous, she is thoughtful. Where she is sensitive, he is protective. Where he is a dreamer, she is practical. This complementarity is not coincidence, but rather the result of cosmic planning, where two souls chose to develop different qualities, so that, when reunited, they could create a more powerful and balanced spiritual force. "I can be myself with you" is the seventh sacred declaration that emerges from the heart of a truly passionate man. This phrase reveals one of the most healing aspects of genuine love, the creation of a sacred space where the soul can express itself without masks, without pretense, without fear of judgment. Edgar Cayce taught that one of the main causes of human suffering is the feeling of separation and isolation we experience when we can't be authentic in our relationships. When a man finds a woman with whom he can lower all his defenses, he is experiencing a return to the state of innocence and transparency that characterizes the higher spiritual dimensions. It's as if her presence activates a frequency in his soul that dissolves the barriers of the ego and allows his divine essence to manifest freely. Imagine a man who has lived his whole life wearing social masks, being who others expected him to be, repressing aspects of his personality that he deemed inappropriate. When he finds his twin flame, all those masks become unnecessary. He can be funny without worrying if his jokes are sophisticated enough. He can be vulnerable without fearing being seen as weak. He can be spiritual without being judged as naive. This is the miracle of true love. It allows us to be who we truly are, without editing, without filters, without fear. The eighth phrase that echoes from the lips of a man in love is, "Our future together excites me." This statement reveals an expanded temporal dimension of consciousness that Edgar Cayce identified as characteristic of souls who are destined to walk together not only in this life, but also in future incarnations. This excitement about the future is not based solely on romantic fantasies, but on an intuitive perception that their souls have a shared mission that will extend far beyond this current incarnation. It's as if they can glimpse, even in a hazy way, the paths of growth and service they will travel side by side, the lessons they will learn together, the obstacles they will overcome united. Imagine a man who, when envisioning his future with the woman he loves, sees not only scenes of domestic bliss, but also glimpses of shared spiritual growth, service to others, and the creation of a family that serves as a beacon of love and wisdom in the world. He intuitively senses that together they can achieve levels of fulfillment impossible to achieve individually. The ninth and final phrase that springs from the masculine heart touched by divine love is, "I love you not only for who you are, but for who I become when I am with you." This statement encapsulates the transformative essence of true love according to the teachings of Edgar Cayce. It reveals that genuine love is not merely a feeling directed towards another, but an alchemical force that transforms the lover. When a man utters these words, he is acknowledging that his beloved's presence activates dormant potentials within his soul, awakens virtues he may not have known he possessed, and inspires him to transcend limitations he believed to be permanent. She is like a spiritual catalyst, accelerating his evolutionary process and drawing him closer to his divine nature. This transformation occurs because, in the words of Edgar Cayce, true love connects us to the universal source of all creative energy. When we genuinely love, we become purer channels for the expression of the divinity within us. The beloved not only receives our love, but also reflects back to us an elevated version of who we can be. Imagine a man who always considered himself incapable of demonstrating affection, discovering he can write love poems. A man who thought himself selfish, discovering an unlimited capacity for generosity. A man who saw himself emotionally closed off, discovering depths of compassion he didn't know existed. This is the transformative magic of love. It reveals not who we were, but who we always had the potential to be. Edgar Cayce taught us that these transformations are not temporary or superficial.
They represent a permanent awakening of aspects of the soul that, once activated by love, continue to develop and strengthen even when we face challenges or periods of separation. True love leaves indelible marks on the consciousness, permanently elevating our capacity to love, serve, and connect with the divine. But it's important to understand that not all love encounters carry this spiritual depth. Edgar Cayce distinguished between karmic relationships, which come to teach specific lessons and then dissolve, and soulmate relationships, which are destined to endure across multiple lifetimes. The 9 phrases we've explored today are specific characteristics of this second type of relationship. How can we recognize if we are experiencing a soulmate encounter? Beyond the words spoken, there are subtle signs that Edgar Cayce identified as indicators of this type of sacred connection. Frequent synchronicities begin to occur around the relationship. Repeating numbers, chance encounters at significant moments, shared or similar dreams, a feeling that the universe is conspiring to keep these two people together. There's also a timeless quality to their shared moments. Hours pass like minutes when they are together. Yet simultaneously, each moment seems to carry an emotional density that makes it feel eternal. It's as if linear time bends around the love they share, creating bubbles of eternity in the midst of everyday life. Another distinctive sign is the ease with which they resolve conflicts. Even when they disagree or face challenges, there's a natural tendency to seek harmony and mutual understanding. There's no desire to win arguments, but rather to understand and grow together through differences. It's as if their souls remember having overcome similar obstacles in past lives and carry the accumulated wisdom of how to navigate relational storms. Edgar Cayce also emphasized that soulmate relationships often involve a shared mission of service. It's not just about personal happiness, but how they can use their love as a force to benefit the world around them.
This might be through raising children who will be a light in the world, through joint humanitarian work, through art that inspires others, or simply through the example of how true love can exist and thrive in an often cynical world. It's crucial to understand that finding a soulmate doesn't guarantee a relationship without challenges. In fact, Edgar Cayce taught that these relationships often bring more intense tests because the spiritual stakes are higher. When two souls have committed to growing together through multiple lifetimes, they often encounter accelerated opportunities for healing and evolution that can be challenging. Deep soul wounds may emerge to be healed. Old karmic patterns may manifest to be finally resolved. Ancestral fears about intimacy and vulnerability may surface to be transformed. These challenges don't indicate that the relationship is doomed, but rather that it is fulfilling its higher spiritual purpose, the mutual healing and evolution of the souls involved. The key to navigating these challenges is to always keep present the understanding that you are spiritual partners on a sacred journey. Each obstacle is an opportunity to strengthen the bond and demonstrate the commitment your souls made to each other before this incarnation. It's important to approach conflicts with spiritual curiosity. What is this situation trying to teach us? How can we grow through this challenge? What ancestral healing is happening through this experience? Edgar Cayce frequently recommended joint spiritual practices for soulmate couples. Shared meditation together, prayer together, studying spiritual texts, conscious forgiveness practices. These activities strengthen the spiritual connection and help maintain focus on the sacred dimension of the relationship, especially during difficult periods. It's also essential to maintain individuality within the union. While soulmates are complementary, each has their own unique path of growth and specific lessons to learn in this incarnation. True love encourages the individual growth of each partner, recognizing that the more each becomes their best self, the richer and more powerful the relationship becomes. Communication in soulmate relationships often transcends words. There's an emotional telepathy that develops, where one can sense the other's inner states even from a distance. There's an intuitive understanding that allows each to know exactly what the other needs in moments of joy or hardship. This psychic connection isn't supernatural, but rather the natural result of two souls tuning in to the same spiritual frequency. It's also important to recognize that not everyone is destined to find their soulmate in this specific lifetime. Edgar Cayce taught that sometimes our souls choose lives focused on other lessons, self-healing, developing specific talents, serving humanity in ways that require total dedication. Not finding a soulmate doesn't indicate spiritual failure, but rather that our soul is focused on other aspects of growth in this life. For those who feel they haven't yet found their soulmate, Edgar Cayce recommended focusing on self-development and raising one's own spiritual vibration. When we become the best version of ourselves, when we cultivate genuine self-love, when we serve others with selfless compassion, we create a spiritual magnetic field that naturally attracts high-quality connections. Preparing to find a soulmate doesn't involve becoming perfect, but becoming authentic. It involves healing past wounds that may interfere with the ability to love fully. It involves developing the capacity to give and receive love unconditionally. It involves connecting with one's own spiritual purpose so that when the soulmate appears, you can recognize the possibilities of a shared mission. The 9 phrases we explored today are like seeds of light planted in the garden of consciousness. When spoken with genuine sincerity, they not only express the current state of the heart, but also create the future reality of the relationship. Words have creative power, especially when charged with true love and pure spiritual intention. Imagine these phrases as sacred mantras that, when repeated with full awareness of their spiritual meaning, strengthen the bonds between souls and accelerate the process of cosmic reunion. Edgar Cayce frequently reminded us that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. When we understand our relationships through this spiritual lens, each interaction becomes sacred. Each word becomes an opportunity for healing. Each shared moment becomes an experience of divine communion. The love between soulmates is a reflection of the love the universe has for itself. It is through the experience of this transcendent human love that we begin to understand the nature of the divine love that permeates all creation. When a man utters these 9 sacred phrases, he is not only expressing his personal feelings, but becoming a channel through which the universe itself expresses its infinite love. As our journey through these revelations nears its end, I invite you to reflect on how these truths apply to your own experience. Perhaps you've recognized some of these phrases in past or present relationships. Perhaps you've felt the spiritual truth that pulsates behind words you thought were merely romantic. Perhaps you've understood why certain connections in your life felt so profound and transformative. Spiritual knowledge only has value when applied to real life. Edgar Cayce's teachings weren't given to satisfy intellectual curiosity, but to guide us toward more conscious, loving, and evolving relationships. Every person you meet is an opportunity to practice unconditional love. Every relationship is a chance to heal old aspects of the soul and discover new facets of your own divinity. If you are currently in a relationship, you can use these understandings to deepen your connection and elevate it to a more spiritual level. If you are seeking love, you can use this knowledge to attract more conscious and meaningful connections. If you are going through relational challenges, you can use these truths to understand the spiritual lessons involved and transform difficulties into opportunities for growth. Always remember that true love is not a conquest nor an arrival. It's a continuous journey of discovery, healing, and evolution. Each day offers new opportunities to love more deeply, to understand more clearly, to serve more selflessly. The 9 phrases we explored are milestones on this journey, indicators that the soul is awakening to its highest capacity to love and be loved. Edgar Cayce taught us that the ultimate purpose of all incarnations is to learn to love as God loves, unconditionally, infinitely, eternally. Our human relationships are schools where we practice this divine love. Each time we choose understanding over judgment, compassion over criticism, forgiveness over resentment, we take another step toward the realization of our divine nature. The words of love a man speaks when he is truly in love are echoes of promises his soul made in dimensions beyond time and space. They are reminders of sacred pacts, of cosmic commitments, of a fidelity that transcends death and is reborn in each new incarnation. When we understand this, every relationship becomes a sacred opportunity to awaken, to heal, to evolve. May you recognize on your own love journey the subtle signs of soul recognition. May you understand that there are no casual encounters, only divine synchronicities orchestrated by a higher intelligence that desires the highest good for all involved. May you remember in moments of challenge that true love is not a feeling that comes and goes, but a transformative force that, once awakened, continues to grow and expand through all life's experiences. And you, dear soul who has come this far, who has had the patience and openness to absorb these ancestral truths, do you recognize in your own experience the echoes of these sacred words? Have you heard or spoken words that seemed to carry the weight of eternity, that resonated in your heart like bells of a cosmic church announcing the return to spiritual home?
Cuando nos convertimos en la mejor versión de nosotros mismos, cuando cultivamos un amor propio genuino, cuando servimos a los demás con compasión desinteresada, creamos un campo magnético espiritual que atrae naturalmente conexiones de alta calidad. La preparación para encontrar un alma gemela no implica volverse perfecto, sino volverse auténtico. Implica sanar heridas del pasado que pueden interferir en la capacidad de amar plenamente. Implica desarrollar la capacidad de dar y recibir amor incondicionalmente. Implica conectarse con el propio propósito espiritual, para que cuando el alma gemela aparezca puedan reconocer las posibilidades de una misión compartida. Las 9 frases que exploramos hoy son como semillas de luz plantadas en el jardín de la conciencia. Cuando se pronuncian con sinceridad genuina, no solo expresan el estado actual del corazón, sino que también crean la realidad futura de la relación. Las palabras tienen poder creativo, especialmente cuando están cargadas de amor verdadero e intención espiritual pura. Imagina estas frases como mantras sagrados, que cuando se repiten con plena conciencia de su significado espiritual, fortalecen los lazos entre las almas y aceleran el proceso de encuentro cósmico. Son puentes de energía que conectan no solo dos corazones en esta dimensión, sino también dos esencias que existen simultáneamente en múltiples dimensiones de la realidad. Ricardo nos recordaba frecuentemente que somos seres espirituales teniendo una experiencia humana, no al revés. Cuando comprendemos nuestras relaciones a través de esta lente espiritual, cada interacción se vuelve sagrada, cada palabra se convierte en una oportunidad de sanación. Cada momento compartido se convierte en una experiencia de comunión divina. El amor entre almas gemelas es un reflejo del amor que el universo tiene por sí mismo. Es a través de la experiencia de este amor humano trascendente que comenzamos a comprender la naturaleza del amor divino que permea toda la creación. Cuando un hombre pronuncia estas 9 frases sagradas, no solo está expresando sus sentimientos personales, sino que se convierte en un canal a través del cual el universo mismo expresa su amor infinito. A medida que nuestra travesía a través de estas revelaciones se acerca al final, te invito a reflexionar sobre cómo estas verdades se aplican a tu propia experiencia. Quizás hayas reconocido algunas de estas frases en relaciones pasadas o presentes. Quizás hayas sentido la verdad espiritual que palpita detrás de palabras que creías que eran solo románticas. Quizás hayas comprendido por qué ciertas conexiones en tu vida se sintieron tan profundas y transformadoras. El conocimiento espiritual solo tiene valor cuando se aplica a la vida real. Las enseñanzas de Ricardo no fueron dadas para satisfacer la curiosidad intelectual, sino para guiarnos hacia relaciones más conscientes, amorosas y evolutivas. Cada persona que conoces es una oportunidad para practicar el amor incondicional. Cada relación es una oportunidad para sanar aspectos antiguos del alma y descubrir nuevas facetas de tu propia divinidad. Si actualmente estás en una relación, puedes usar estas comprensiones para profundizar tu conexión y elevarla a un nivel más espiritual. Si estás buscando amor, puedes usar este conocimiento para atraer conexiones más conscientes y significativas. Si estás pasando por desafíos relacionales, puedes usar estas verdades para comprender las lecciones espirituales involucradas y transformar las dificultades. Recuerda siempre que el amor verdadero no es una conquista ni una llegada. Es un viaje continuo de descubrimiento, sanación y evolución. Cada día ofrece nuevas oportunidades para amar más profundamente, para comprender más claramente, para servir más desinteresadamente. Las 9 frases que exploramos son hitos en este viaje, indicadores de que el alma está despertando a su capacidad más elevada de amar y ser amada. Ricardo nos enseñó que el propósito final de todas las encarnaciones es aprender a amar como Dios ama, incondicionalmente, infinitamente, eternamente. Nuestras relaciones humanas son escuelas donde practicamos este amor divino. Cada vez que elegimos la comprensión en lugar del juicio, la compasión en lugar de la crítica, el perdón en lugar del resentimiento, damos un paso más hacia la realización de nuestra naturaleza divina. Las palabras de amor que un hombre pronuncia cuando está verdaderamente enamorado son ecos de promesas que su alma hizo en dimensiones más allá del tiempo y del espacio. Son recordatorios de pactos sagrados, de compromisos cósmicos, de una fidelidad que trasciende la muerte y renace en cada nueva encarnación. Cuando comprendemos esto, cada relación se convierte en una oportunidad sagrada para despertar, para sanar, para evolucionar. Que puedas reconocer en tu propio camino de amor las sutiles señales de reconocimiento del alma, que comprendas que no existen encuentros casuales, solo sincronías divinas orquestadas por una inteligencia superior que desea el mayor bien para todos los involucrados, que puedas recordar en momentos de dificultad que el amor verdadero no es un sentimiento, sino una fuerza transformadora que, una vez despertada, sigue creciendo y expandiéndose a través de todas las experiencias de la vida. Y tú, querida alma que has llegado hasta aquí, que has tenido la paciencia y la apertura para absorber estas verdades ancestrales, ¿reconoces en tu propia experiencia los ecos de estas 9 frases sagradas? ¿Has escuchado o pronunciado palabras que parecían cargar el peso de la eternidad, que resonaron en tu corazón como las campanas de una iglesia cósmica anunciando el regreso al hogar espiritual? Las palabras de amor que un hombre pronuncia cuando está verdaderamente enamorado son ecos de promesas que su alma hizo en dimensiones más allá del tiempo y del espacio. Son recordatorios de pactos sagrados, de compromisos cósmicos, de una fidelidad que trasciende la muerte y renace en cada nueva encarnación. Cuando comprendemos esto, cada relación se convierte en una oportunidad sagrada para despertar, para sanar, para evolucionar. Que puedas reconocer en tu propio camino de amor las sutiles señales de reconocimiento del alma. Que comprendas que no existen encuentros casuales, solo sincronías divinas orquestadas por una inteligencia superior que desea el mayor bien para todos los involucrados. Que puedas recordar, en momentos de dificultad, que el amor verdadero no es un sentimiento, sino una fuerza transformadora que, una vez despertada, sigue creciendo y expandiéndose a través de todas las experiencias de la vida. Y tú, querida alma que has llegado hasta aquí, que has tenido la paciencia y la apertura para absorber estas verdades ancestrales, ¿reconoces en tu propia experiencia los ecos de estas 9 frases sagradas? ¿Has escuchado o pronunciado palabras que parecían cargar el peso de la eternidad, que resonaron en tu corazón como las campanas de una iglesia cósmica anunciando el regreso al hogar espiritual?